Freight trains are vital,
This train is booking it, man.
carrying millions of pounds worth of merchandise
There it is. That's your plasma screen TV right there.
across deserts, through mountains, and under cities, greasing the wheels of industry and keeping economies running.
My name is Matt Baum. Ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with trains. My day job? I work on a railroad in Maine. But this is my dream. To ride the biggest, fastest, most awesome trains in history.
When most people think about LA, they're thinking about palm trees and they're thinking about movie stars. But not me, baby. I'm thinking about trains.
This train is one of the biggest, fastest freight trains in the world, moving 15 million pounds of freight all over the United States of America at speeds of up to 70 miles per hour.
This is Burlington Northern Santa Fe's double-stack container train from Los Angeles to Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas.
It's over 2,000 meters long and packed full of consumer goods straight off the boat from the Far East. From sound systems to plasma screens, TVs to iPods, every kind of modern gadget.
When you're hauling stuff this valuable, there's millions and millions of dollars worth of cargo here. You've got to move it, baby.
The BNSF has just 48 hours to get this train to its distribution depot in Texas. If they don't make it, the shops don't get their stock and the economy suffers. To get there, it must cross some of the toughest terrain in America. The train travels 1,500 miles from the port of Los Angeles in California, over the steep inclines of the Cajon Pass, through the blistering heat of the Mojave Desert, across Abo Canyon, New Mexico, arriving 48 hours later in Fort Worth, Texas. It all starts here.
This is Terminal Island. It's home to the busiest port in the United States.
Just off the coast of San Pedro in California, Terminal Island rests in between the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. Our train is loading at the massive container facility called Pier 400.
It has 6 berths, 7,000 feet of dock space, and 14 key cranes. This place is gigantic.
500 vessels carrying 29 million tons of cargo arrive at the port every year.
And it all rides here in these intermodal containers.
Intermodal containers can go straight from a ship onto a train and then onto a truck without being opened.
Using containers is one of the most efficient and safest ways of shipping cargo throughout the world. Here's how it works. The containers come off the ship. They're brought over here to the staging yard, where they're stacked 4 high, 6 deep, and arranged by destination. Next thing that happens, this top loader comes in. What this guy's doing is he's picking the 2010 container up. He's gonna put it on this truck right here.
This forklift locks onto each 20-ton container so it can be picked up and loaded.
These guys have to repeat this procedure hundreds of times to load a 7,000-foot double-stack container train. It's truly amazing. They're gonna head to the train now with it. This is what the train looks like before it's loaded. They're gonna put the containers into these empty well cars right here. The reason why they call it a well car is this depression right here. The container comes in and it holds it in place.
It's like the cup holder in a car. Once the containers are locked in, they're not going anywhere.
They're starting to load the train. I'm gonna get in there and see how they lock these containers together. All right, get out of the way, here they come. This is Daniel. He's gonna show us how we do this.
It's Daniel's job to make sure all 250 containers get from the trucks onto the train. This is the same process they used at the staging yard.
This is dangerous stuff. Gotta be very careful up here. They're bringing the container in, they're lowering it into the well right now. Bam! All right, so the container's in the well.
Correct, secured.
Yep.
In the columns.
That's one down, 249 more to go. But the most efficient way to move cargo is to run trains as double-deckers, moving twice as much every trip.
This guy right here, this is called a cone.
With the first level of containers in position, Daniel attaches these steel cones. Then the second container is lined up with the cones, lowered and locked into place. It's like a giant Lego set.
Just go bam, just like that. This 20-ton container's locked in, double stacked. It's that simple.
They can load and lock a train of this size in less than 9 hours.
Here it is, this is the last container. These guys have been working on this train all day. Once they get this loaded, we're gonna be ready to go. And that's it. This 7,000-foot train's ready to go.
Two kilometers of train packed full of consumer goods.
From stereo systems to iPods, plasma screen TVs.
Has 48 hours to get from the Port of Los Angeles to the BNSF distribution hub in Fort Worth, Texas. Any delay, and the latest consumer goods won't be in the shops in time.
This is a race to get cargo to Texas in 48 hours.
But first, the train needs to get off Terminal Island.
This right here is Badger Bridge. It's the only way for these double-stack container trains to get off Terminal Island.
Every day, 90 trains move off the island. A normal bridge here would be too low for ships to pass under. The solution? An opening bridge.
The amazing thing about this bridge is it not only serves trains, but also boats. Let's go see how it works.
This is the operations center where Tim, the dispatcher, manages this 55-meter bridge's every move.
This is incredible. I've never been in a place like this before. You've got trains coming over the bridge, boats going under the bridge. All the cargo that's getting loaded in that terminal wouldn't go east if it wasn't for this bridge. So Tim, who gets first dibs?
First dibs is always the vessels. Vessels have the right of way.
Since boats can't stop as easily as trains, they always get right of way. This maritime law goes back over 100 years, so even though the train is ready, it has to wait for 2 boats to pass.
So Tim, you've got a loaded train ready to leave the terminal?
That's correct.
With a click of the mouse, Tim controls all the activity on this 3-mile stretch of track.
It seems like it's a game of chess. You're thinking probably 3, 4, 5 moves ahead?
That's correct. PHL Badger Bridge, PHL 66 over. PHL 66, you'll need to look out for the UP 8371 inside of Tictiv, as well as an outbound train on AD1 over.
It's the chess game. It's happening right in front of us right now.
Exactly.
Tim, let's lift this sucker.
It's just that easy.
Wow. Look at that bridge lift. Holy cow.
The weight of the bridge is offset by two massive counterweights which are cabled to either side of the bridge with giant pulleys.
Wow, Tim, look at it. There it goes.
The counterweights drop, activating the pulleys which lift the bridge. It's raised approximately 30 times per day.
Here comes that tug. Look at him go.
Once the boats have passed by, the bridge is lowered and the tracks realign perfectly with the help of a special kind of track joint called the Connolly joint. The bridge is then locked and ready.
Let's run some trains.
HL Bandit Bridge, BNSF 7508, over.
NSF 7508, over.
If the red flags are removed, okay to head east, over.
Standing by, thanks, sir.
HL Bandit Bridge down.
Look out, Texas. Here we come. Yeehaw! Wow, this is cool. We've just crossed Badger Bridge. We're about to enter one of the most impressive railroad engineering feats in U.S. history.
The Alameda Trench is 10 miles long, 15 meters wide, and 10 meters deep. This trench runs the length of downtown LA.
Cool, look, we're about to go into it right now.
If it wasn't for the Alameda Trench, getting a train through LA would be a nightmare. Before the trench was built, the city's 200 signal crossings were a major cause of traffic jams and pollution. In 1989, a team of engineers came up with this brilliant solution. Instead of running trains through the city, build a set of tracks under it.
So, Jim, what kind of speeds are you guys doing through the corridor?
It's 40 miles an hour through the corridor here.
And no grade crossings?
No, not through the corridor.
Roger that.
So you've gone from 10 miles an hour to being able to move trains at 40 miles an hour.
That's right.
This is hammer time in here. Move the trains.
The trench opened in 2002 and has successfully improved the route through LA.
This is amazing. We're actually underneath LA right now. When I think of railroading in 2008, this is what I think of. It's like a science fiction movie. It's like something from like when I was a little kid. Look at it. This is what it's all about.
There are more than 2,000 of these concrete supports, and they are what make the trench earthquake-proof.
As everybody knows, there's earthquakes in LA often, so if there's a big earthquake, then the walls will stay steady instead of falling in.
On this trip, though, there were no earthquakes.
All right, that's it. We went through the trench. It was great. Now it's on to San Bernardino and Cajon Pass.
90 miles northeast of Los Angeles. Nestled in between the San Bernardino and San Gabriel Mountains, it's the only way for trains to get over the 3,800-foot elevation.
It's one of the oldest pieces of railroad in the country, and it is busy.
100 trains travel through here every day on BNSF's 2 tracks.
With container traffic volumes growing every day, BNSF has to do something to add capacity to their lines.
The only way to keep this route from clogging up completely was to build a 3rd track. When finished, their daily capacity will have increased by 50%. To do it, they literally need to carve into the mountain.
One of the biggest jobs on the project is right here. This place is amazing. right here is over 100 feet of a cross-section of a mountain that these guys have dug out to make room for the new track.
Dennis is in charge.
This used to be a tunnel. So when you guys started, you were at the top of this.
Yes.
Wow, this is absolutely amazing.
The tunnel that was here was not wide enough for another set of train tracks, so they blasted it away.
What they're doing right now is they're shoring up this wall so it doesn't cave in on the trains when they pass through.
The first job is to drill holes into the side of the hill.
Starts out really. Wow, that is loud! Wow, holy cow!
Then they reinforce it by inserting thousands of steel rods called soil nails. The nails form a skeleton-like structure which distributes the weight of the earth evenly and increases stability.
So the drill bit's 35 feet long?
Yes.
That's a little different than your portable drill at home.
Oh, definitely.
I'd like to see you try to do that. How many holes do you think you've done, Dennis?
I'd estimate probably about 2,000. Got about 100 left.
They've done 2,000 holes. That's insane.
To oversee this process, Dennis stands 15 meters away from the cricket ball-sized target and relies on his eyes.
He's gonna eyeball this from right here, and he's gonna tell Anthony, the driver, when to stop. All right, Dennis has it lined up. We're all clear. Let's do some drilling. So are you a good shot with a rifle? Because that's pretty much what you're doing right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
The dead eye?
Dead eye.
You ever find anything when you're drilling, like archaeological stuff?
I have been on jobs where we found like picks from 1913, like original picks that they used to do the tunnels.
No dinosaurs?
No dinosaurs.
Once they have the holes drilled, the soil nails are inserted.
Wow, these things aren't light. I didn't realize, it looks plastic, but they're steel. All right, so we're gonna head over to the lower hole over here. I see it's kind of at an angle, so gotta. All right, we've got one in. We've got a lot more to go. We better get going here. We got more to do. Push! How'd I do?
Pretty good. Good
Pretty
job.
good? All right, man. Once they get all the nails in, they're gonna fill them with grout. Then they're gonna put concrete down the side of this cut. It's gonna be rock solid, and they're gonna be trains booking through here in no time.
Before any rail can be laid, all the debris must be removed. They use a massive tool called a hammer hoe.
I've always wanted to operate one of these machines. Can I give it a try, man? All right. I'm gonna smash some rocks up. This could get ugly. Hammer hoe! All right, I'm gonna take my gloves off because operating these controls, it's like very sensitive. Put the safety on. Got my seatbelt. All right, here it goes.
Working with heavy equipment like this is all about precision and timing. It's not that easy.
It's like a video game, but I'm not very good at it. Goodbye, rock!
leaving the experts to finish the job.
Let's go to Texas.
We're back with Matt and Dan.
Matt. Dan, Matt. Matt, Dan. Dan, Matt. Come here. Look at this. You can pretty much see all 7,000 feet of our train stretching out behind us as we go around this curve here.
This journey gets tougher as we approach one of the most treacherous parts of the route, the summit of Cajon Pass. This huge train is working its way up one of the steepest train track inclines in America.
That's a hard haul, especially for a train. You can kind of picture it like maybe you were running up a ski slope with a few sleds attached to you, hauling your kids or something like that. It's a hard haul.
You don't want to become complacent, but you do have to stay on your toes, going up and down as well.
To climb up a mountain like this train relies on 3 4,400 horsepower engines. On steep climbs like these, there's a real danger of the engineer losing control, resulting in a runaway train. To prevent any devastating accident, there's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit going up and down the mountain.
All right, it's all business now. We're coming down the mountain, coming down Cajon Pass. Dan is majorly focused over here. Several different things he's doing to control the speed of this train. You gotta imagine, he's got 4,000 tons pushing against us. We're coming down this mountain. He's gotta worry about signals. We've got grade crossings. But when we get to the bottom of this mountain, we're gonna be moving.
Hold on.
Wow, this is like we're on the moon up here or something. This is crazy. A big part of the engineer's job, he's got to get a feel of how that train's going to handle. So when he gets to a place like Cajon Pass, one of the toughest places in the world to run a train, he knows what that train's going to do.
We're through the pass.
You're fulfilling my fantasies, Matt.
Back on the flat, it's time to increase the speed.
You're in for a little treat. Right on, I'm ready. This train is booking it, man. 70 miles an hour. This is what it's like to go 70 miles an hour, guys. This is great.
The trains Matt works on in Maine only have a top speed of 40 miles per hour.
Good work, Dan. Now, how long do we get to go 70?
All the way to Barstow.
We made it down over the pass. We still have one of the bleakest, most treacherous areas of the United States to go through, the Mojave Desert.
Temperatures out here can hit 55 degrees.
You don't want your train breaking down out there.
This BNSF freight train is hauling millions of dollars worth of consumer goods, all the way from Los Angeles to Fort Worth, Texas.
We're making great time right now. We still have some of the hardest territory in the country to go through. So we're in the middle of the desert here. How hot's it getting, Matt? It's gotta get really, really hot.
About 117, 118 degrees.
Oh my God. Is it a dry heat, though?
Yes, it is.
Does that really make sense, though? A dry heat is hot, right?
But scorching temperatures aren't the only thing to worry about.
Out here in the desert, you don't want your engines breaking down. You want them to keep going because there's nothing out here.
But if a train does break down in the middle of the Mojave Desert, there's only one place to get it fixed: the Barstow Maintenance Shop. Every day, 26 locomotives roll in here.
Got it?
A quick fix or a major repair, the crews here can do it all. Robin Rocky and his team need to replace the turbocharger on this locomotive.
Right now, they're taking the old turbo out of this and putting a new one in. Here's the new turbo right here.
A turbocharger gives the train engine extra power to work faster and more efficiently. Heated air from the exhaust enters through a fan. It compresses the air and pushes it into the engine. The engine squeezes the air into the cylinders, which creates more horsepower.
And we like horsepower.
Yeah, we love horsepower.
Yeah. All right, these guys are up here taking the old turbo out. Let's see how they do it. This is labor intensive. You can't just take that turbo and rip it out of here. There's so many pipes and other parts of the engine. These guys have to be super careful. Wow, look at that. There it goes. That 1,800-pound turbo, that's right, 1,800 pounds, that's basically like taking your car and lifting it. It's being just hoisted into the air. Yeah, I can see where that rope's very important.
You got to keep a good handle on it.
All right, they've taken out the old turbo, and they're gonna put this brand spanking new, beautiful turbo into the engine right now. Lift away, boys. This engine's gonna be out there putting 4,400 horsepower out in no time.
The guys have replaced the turbocharger, and it's time to test it.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna have the electrician up there put this engine in the 8th notch. It's gonna pump out 4,400 horsepower, make sure this engine's good to go. If you've got these, you better put them in. It's gonna be loud.
This test is just like a stress test to make sure everything's up and running. This engine needs to be able to handle everything the southwestern desert can throw at it.
I can feel the earth shaking. I can feel it in my chest. This is impressive. Probably can't even hear me. It's so loud. All right, the load test is good. This engine's ready to haul some freight. Let's get out of here. We just left Cali. We crossed over into Arizona. About 400 miles into our trip right now. And we're just out in the middle of the desert, and it's just absolutely nothing out here. Never seen anything like it.
We're heading into New Mexico.
I'm a long way from Maine right now.
The clouds are moving quickly, and it looks like rain. Having clocked 800 miles, it's time to take a look under the hood and fill her up.
I'm standing on 190,000 gallons of diesel fuel at Belen Terminal in the heart of the New Mexican desert. We're halfway between LA and Fort Worth. This is the pit stop where BNSF will refuel and service all their freight trains.
Every day, up to 100 trains stop here to refuel and get inspected. And as soon as they roll in, the crews get to work. The crew has only 35 minutes to get this long train tuned up and back on the track. Any delay, and it won't get to Texas on time.
To give you an idea of how many trains come through here, they pump 18 million gallons of fuel a month. That's like one Olympic-sized swimming pool a day.
They can't afford to run out of fuel, so they have 4 giant tanks to keep their trains up and running.
Whew. Time's almost up.
Each locomotive is filled up with 3,000 gallons of fuel before its inspection.
This is rain. It's like Maine. It's like I came to the desert and brought Maine with me. This is terrible. I thought I was gonna get a suntan out here, Lee.
Yeah, we're getting wet.
Your job is to go over this train, make sure everything's safe.
That's correct.
This train is over 2,000 meters long. Walking up and down it would take over an hour. Alternative transport is required.
There we go. What Lee's doing right now might not look much to the layman, but he has an expert eye. He's like a hawk. He's looking for anything that would be wrong. Ideally, Lee, you don't want to find anything wrong.
No, we don't. We want to just get it to its next destination.
Move the freight. That's what it's all about, safely and efficiently.
If Lee misses anything, the train could be slowed down, or worse, derailed.
He's making sure that this millions and millions of dollars worth of merchandise gets to you on time and safely.
Yeah, this looks like a pretty clean train today.
35 minutes on the nose. They did it. Another successful inspection of Berlin. This train's out of here. It's heading for Texas.
Maintenance checks like this weren't always so fast. Back in the 1800s, tuning up a train was much more labor-intensive. One of the most important jobs was greasing the wheels. At the Steamtown Museum in Pennsylvania, Mike shows us how to use a grease gun.
And this is hard grease. It's very stiff lubricant that we use on the drive rods. There's a tremendous amount of force in there, so we have to use a real stiff grease.
It looks a lot harder than it is. It looks like you could really crack somebody with it, but it's nice and soft.
Diesel engines need some grease, but they don't have as many moving parts as steam locomotives. In the past, crews would have to grease over 200 pieces of equipment.
So this is how you operate it. And one thing to be careful of is not to put your finger in here.
This is dangerous stuff. If you stick your finger in there, it's not coming out. You know where it's gonna go? It's gonna go right here, and that's not good. We don't want that.
Compressed air fires a piston that pushes the grease into the wheel.
Have a go at it.
So just kind of work it around until it's all the way in there.
Lubricating the train had to be done every day.
What would happen if, say, you got lazy and said, I'm gonna go 3,000 miles and then I'll take care of this?
Well, after 3,000 miles, you'd probably be fixing it instead of greasing it.
Not enough grease meant too much friction, which meant too much heat. And that could cause serious damage to a train.
We're talking major train wreck
Right.
if you're not doing this every day.
Very maintenance intensive. You need lots of grease all the time.
Approaching Texas, we'll soon be face to face with another treacherous part of the route that could seriously slow us down.
Wow, I've never been on a train going this fast before. This is crazy.
We're on the BNSF freight train from Los Angeles, California to Fort Worth, Texas.
Can you think of a better way of getting to Texas?
On board are tons of consumer goods destined for shops across America.
We're in New Mexico right now, and this billion-dollar high-speed operation is gonna come screeching to a halt right here at Abo Canyon.
We're at a bottleneck with a queue of trains ahead of us. And until the control center gives us the green light, we're stuck.
This is one of the last single tracks along the route, so if there's another train, you have to wait.
Abo Canyon lies 5 miles outside of Belen in New Mexico. In the Chihuahuan Desert, the landscape is breathtaking, but extreme.
This place is rugged. We're talking landslides, flash floods, extreme temperatures. Any one of these circumstances could devastate a 7,000-foot freight train.
It's dangerous territory. To keep the freight trains moving, the track crews at Burlington, northern Santa Fe, have to deal with whatever Mother Nature throws their way.
One of the most treacherous parts about being in the desert is that flash flooding can occur. It just takes a couple inches of rain, and everything you see here, all these gullies and trenches turn into a raging river.
When sudden torrential rainfall hits this hard, sun-baked ground, the water runs right off and floods the gullies. In a matter of minutes, the water level can be high enough to flood the tracks and derail a train.
So to prevent a major catastrophe and have a train run into a washout, they have this right here. It's called the high water detector.
Gabe shows us how it works, but first we have to get to the detector.
So this is the detector right here?
Yes, and what we have here is a basic 2-wire circuit, Matt, and at this point here, the circuit extends through these coils. These coils
When the water gets high enough to enter the box, the system automatically sends a red signal to the trains to make them stop. These detectors are set low to the ground, so the train crews are aware of the threat before the water reaches dangerous levels.
Has the water ever gotten that high since you've been here?
Well, there are times, Matt, a couple inches in an hour and this will be a raging river.
A couple inches in an hour and it'll be a raging river.
Safety measures are now in place, but it wasn't always this way. In the summer of 1904, the town of Pueblo in Colorado saw one of the most devastating train disasters in American history. The World's Fair Flyer train battled serious storms as it departed from the Denver station. As night fell, the rain kept falling. As the train crossed over a dry riverbed, massive floodwaters came rushing down the riverbed, ripping apart the bridge and swallowing up 2 packed passenger carriages. 76 victims were identified. It was estimated that some 30 more may have been swept away. Floodwater isn't the only problem. Flash floods can also trigger landslides. Debris on the tracks could easily derail the train.
This is quite a contraption here, Gabe. What are we looking at?
Well, basically what we have here is a single wire circuit that's stretched out back and forth across this entire fence here.
So if a big rock comes down off this mountain, pulls the cord out, this pops off, the signals turn red, the train stops, nobody gets hurt.
That's correct, Matt.
Gabe patrols the area daily, looking for potential threats.
So it's preventative maintenance. You can see a rock up there, you're gonna come out here and knock it down before something happens.
Yes, sir, Matt, that's correct.
How often does something happen out here?
At the beginning of the summer, when we get our monsoons and lots of rain, during that time of the year is when we have the most activations.
This system is essential because if one of these big boulders came down and landed on the tracks, it would derail the train.
The biggest challenge we face at the moment is getting through Abo Canyon.
We're in a holding pattern right now.
Yeah, trolley operation and derail.
Happens all the time.
It is just 44 here up. You guys ready to go? You guys ready to come on now? Okay, so come on.
All right, this is it. Here we go. We're gonna go right into Abo Canyon.
This canyon is amazing. It's like we're running a train through the surface of Mars. This is crazy.
Still 650 miles away from delivering our consumer goods. In the early days of the railroads, freight trains didn't carry so many goods, but they did carry gold. It was one of the safest ways to move money. But at the end of 1870, the first train robbery on America's west coast took place in Verdi, Nevada. 5 masked bandits jumped the Central Pacific Overland Express train, stocked with a Wells Fargo bank box full of gold, and escaped with $41,000 in gold coins.
This is it. We've been on the rails for 47 hours.
Finally, the home stretch.
So Jesse, you must be relieved to be getting this train in after working all night and getting home.
It's been a rough night. It's been kind of long. Ready to get home.
That's how railroaders do it. They do it all night long, 24/7. After 47 hours, I smell like a Texas Longhorn. I need a shower. We still have to unload this thing. We're about to pull into BNSF's distribution hub in Alliance, Texas, just outside of Fort Worth. That'll be the end of the line for this train. This is it. We've arrived at Alliance. I'm gonna go out and help Jesse. Once the train stops at Alliance, it's Jesse's job here to tie the train down. That just means putting handbrakes on. When you're moving a 7,000-foot freight train at record speeds, you don't want to slow down now. That's why these guys have a state-of-the-art system to get these containers off the train fast. When the train gets to the hub, they bring in this big fella right here. It's called a rubber-tired gantry crane. What it does is it takes the container off the train, lifts it up, and puts it on this chassis right here. They truck it out of here.
They used 3 of these cranes to unload a 2,000-meter-long train in 1 hour.
This thing is incredible. It can lift over 60,000 pounds, and I've got kind of a confession to make. I had a model of this on my train set when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to drive it. Let's see if I can get in the driver's seat. Just wanted to operate him?
The controls are in new hands, delivering all those goods.
All right, let's get to it. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
All right.
Take this one and start pushing on.
This machine has lots of modern controls.
Wow.
Computer screens, joysticks, cameras, and a GPS system. Every tool is used to assist in commerce, greasing the wheels of industry.
This is what it's all about. This is the last step in the process. This truck comes in here, he hooks onto this container, and the cargo's gonna go to stores all over Texas. So next time you plug in your iPod, or you watch your plasma screen TV, or you run a 5K in those fancy new running shoes, you just remember the hard-working people that made it possible for that product to be brought to your doorstep.